I think it's two things. One thing is that we need to defend and take every duel we can, like we did against West Ham. And one thing is that we cannot forget how we play. So we need to make sure we are better on the ball against Man City than we were against West Ham. So we want to make sure we have a little bit better in possession, and we want to make sure we keep the intensity and the strength in defending, because we know that Man City is an extremely good team. So if we don't do that, they're going to create chances.
And you also found the equaliser against West Ham minutes into the second half, a great reaction from your side. Given some of your prior performances, is the attitude we saw in the second half an element you hope to see more of going forward? Yeah,
I think most of the games since I come to this club has shown that they are not giving up these players. They are keep pushing and finding ways to get back in games. And then we had a few games where we received too many goals in a short period of time, and that was especially the games before this game. So that's the attitude we want to have that we showed against West Ham when we came back, and that's the attitude I'm expecting from the players, and that's the thing we want to bring tomorrow, because we know that it's going to be a tough game, of course, but we also know that we are a strong team that can win this game.
And one final question for you. Last game, your team created multiple chances before the first goal was conceded and several opportunities to put the game to rest following your equaliser. How will you ensure your team is more clinical in front of goal moving forward?
I think it's a mixture of make sure we get a little bit more better decisions before we get to this point, so we get the time we need, and then it's a mixture of self-confidence. When you get the first goal, you normally can do the second one as well. And then, of course, we practice finishing and technique in that way as well. But the main thing, and even if we score own goal, or they score own goals for us, is actually connected to how we want to score in those spaces. So hopefully we can be a little more clear in those chances and make sure we get some more goal scoring on the goal sheet.
Thank you, Robert, and good luck for tomorrow.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Moving over to the online feed for questions. If we can use the raise hand function, please. We'll go to Chris first.
Hi, Robert. Hope you're well. Just wondered whether you could provide the latest team news at this game.
So the good news is that Haley and Amy is 100% back and are ready to be picked for the squad. So that's a big step for us.
But also, just want to take you back to the heavy defeat last season against Manchester City away. Just wondered what you learned as a manager from that game.
I learned a lot from that game, and one thing was that we play against some really good teams in this league with really good individual players, and if you don't defend together against these teams, they can beat you 1-against-1 and score a lot of nice goals. So I think collectively we've learned a lot how we need to make sure we stick together and make sure we defend together. I think tactically we learn how they play because we played them a few times last season and they have the same coach. But you see, they just are a winning machine that keeps winning and winning. So we also need to make sure that we go to this game and dare to play our style, but we also respect Man City and defend well. Because if we're going to have a chance to win this game, we need to have basically a perfect defending game and be very clear with the chances we're going to get. So we cannot expect us to dictate this game, but we need to make sure that we are very good in the transitions, collectively very defending well, and finding the right press triggers to make sure we can hurt them in some phases of the game.
But lastly for me, of course, Becky Spencer has signed a new contract at the club. How important is that to you?
I think Becky Spencer is a goalkeeper with great experience, a great goalkeeper with good personality that we want to keep in the club and around us. And I think she have the identity of how we want to play in possession, and she also have a personality that we like. She's very brave. So for me to keep working with her and that we can use her for 2 more years, that's great news.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Excuse me, Rachel.
Thank you, Sergeant Peter. I just wanted to ask about Man City's press, because they are, according to the stats, they're allowing fewer opponents, fewer passes in their defensive action, and then are scoring or getting more chances on turnovers as well. So I just want to know, how much of a willingness there is to potentially have to change things a little bit to counter that. Whether that's going long sometimes as opposed to always playing out from the back.
I think it's a mixture of not losing the identity that we want to do, but be aware that they're really good. I mean, Chelsea, we had some really good build-ups in the first game, but then there were some moments where we lost it and then they counter-attacked. So we need to be very sharp when we are brave and when we need to take a more direct alternative, right, and use the pace up front as well. And then also tactically, how can we do different style rotations to make sure we can break them down? Obviously, they are very good in pressing, and the players that press up in the wide areas are very good at that. So we need to be very sharp how to break that down. And the momentum of the game, I would say, we need to be brave, but we also need to be sure that we can manage the frequencies of the game where we not really can handle their press, and then we need to be really sharp to go longer, for example. So that's a part of the game management we need to address tomorrow.
And I know it's natural that we ask you about Funny Shaw, and I know you'll say that Manchester City, of course, have a lot of threats up front, but you did net 2 hat-tricks, I believe, last season. So how difficult is it to kind of balance the, prepping to be up against her, but also managing their other threats, especially at the wide?
Yeah, I mean, we experienced her in the away game last season, how good she can be and how dominant she can be. I've seen her this start of this season, how she can score these amazing goals for them and make sure they win games. But I also experienced how we actually took her down in the home game against us, and I know that if we do that in the right moment and tackle her in the right moment, make sure we know where she is and everything, we can handle it. But obviously she's probably the best 9 in the league, and she's probably one of the best 9s in the world. So you need to defend with a lot of players around her, to be honest, because she's so strong, she's so powerful. But we have done it before, so we're going to really go for it and make sure we try to close her down.
Great, thank you. Best of luck.
Cheers.
Dan?
Hey, I hope you're well. I just want to ask you on City. I know last year obviously you had the heavy defeat, and then you got better when you played them, and then I think finally you got the result. So, do you kind of put any emphasis on that, or in terms of your analysis and your preparation, do you kind of look back at those games last year and kind of how you progressed as the games went on against City?
I think those games can be like showcase what we did last season with trying to be very brave in the build-up and press high and getting that knock against them. That was the first game I would say that we were not good at all. On the other hand, that game we were not terrible in the build-up or how we play, but we just needed to learn how to respect some of the opponents that they are better than perhaps I expected. And then to be a little bit more tactical, actually, to try to find a game plan against those teams. And then finally against them at home in the FA Cup, we solved both the press and the build-up and the set piece. So we kind of nailed it after 4 games. This season they have signed a few new players that are different players, and obviously they are still winning and, play really good football. So it's a little bit new history now, because now we also have new players, which means that we also need to start over a little bit. But on the other hand, we are prepared to take this fight. We also know what we need to focus on. And once again, if we have a great game and everything goes well, we have a big chance to win the game. If we don't have that, we're probably going to lose the game. So we need to go into this game with a mindset that we need to be perfect tomorrow, or at least almost perfect, because otherwise they're going to win. So I think the players shown that this week that they are ready to address a few tactical stuff and also to take the fight tomorrow, because it's going to be a tough game.
And just kind of to get your thoughts on playing at the Etihad, because I suppose you can look at it in so many different ways. City have traditionally kind of only played United there in kind of the derby games. Obviously this is a little bit different for them. You going to the Etihad's very different for you. So yeah, what's your thoughts about playing at the Etihad, and in terms of your preparation, does that alter anything?
I think if I look at it in a bigger picture, I want the women's football to play at the big stadiums all the time in the future, and to prepare yourself to do that, I want to play as many games as possible already now. So when the question came up if we want to play at the Etihad against them on a Friday, I was very positive about that, because I feel like this is the step for the journey we're going to do with women's football and where we want to be. If that's a benefit or not to play at the big stadium against them, let's talk about it after the game. But for me, it's like a great experience to go up there and play at that stadium in front of a lot of fans, and for the players here to get that experience, for the media to have a better access to stuff as well. So I'm just positive for this, because it's going to be a brilliant Friday evening at the big stadium against a big team, and that we play that game shows also that they have respect for us, that we are actually a team that they want to play at the big stadium. So I think it's also it's a good reality check that we are on our way to something, and we're going to play these big games. And for me, Friday night at Etihad against Manchester away is just like, yes, I want to play that game. That's amazing.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Dan. Emily.
Hi, Robert. I hope you're well. Just the one from me. You've got 2 tough tests coming up against Manchester City and Arsenal. You're considered traditionally as top 3 teams. I just wondered if you kind of latch on to that underdog mentality and use that to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, we need to respect where we are in the table and where we are with women's football in Tottenham and everything. So we need to understand that these 2 games is extremely tough games where we need to defend more than dictate the games. But this is the second season, and I think we also are ready to push the boundaries a little bit more. How can we push the bravery in how we play, but still have a good game plan to make sure we win the game? Last season we had this, and then we played Arsenal at home, and we defended most of the game, but we had some really good attacks in the game, and we scored a beautiful goal the way we want to play. So I think we are ready to push the limit a little bit, but we are not there yet where I just say, like, we're just going to go out and smash them, because I know that we're going to have 2 really tough games. So in one way, you can just look at these 2 games like nobody expect us to win, so we can just go in with that underdog mentality, and I think that's where we actually are. But I also expect us to compete and go for the wins, because we can do that, and we have actually beaten both of these teams. So we're going to go for it.